Former Prime Minister Bruce Golding might have been blackmailed. By who? The evidence is about to come out. Maybe it's somebody who just not like him, or maybe it's somebody who wants to be the next Prime Minister.
My fellow Jamaicans, I advised my party's central executive that I would not seek re-election and I would step down as Prime Minister as soon as a new leader had been elected. The timing of my announcement might appear to have been awkward, since I was preparing for my mother's funeral. But it was unavoidable. I had come to this position after deep contemplation. Sufficient time, therefore, had to be allowed to contemplate their choices, since they would not have been anticipating that a vacancy would arise.
Maybe them did anticipate it.
But it was important not to have too long a period of uncertainty regarding the government.
After the tivoli extradition, Bruce Golding was called to answer some questions by the Commission of Inquiry because they thought he was communicating with Dudus Cook.
Former Prime Minister Bruce Golding told the Commission that he surmised variances about the initial amount of casualties reported to him by the security forces compared to the number suggested by residents during the May 2010 joint police-military operations. Ms. Da Costa wanted to know whether or not Mr. Golding was briefed about details of the operational plans.
If it was that I had believed the security forces, then I wouldn't have sent them in. If it was that I believed the residents and I was totally disregarding the information being given by the security forces, I might have summoned an emergency meeting of the cabinet and said, no, this can't go on. I did not know. And I asked the three gentlemen, go and have a look, see what is happening. Do not allow yourself to be restricted in terms of where you go and who you speak with. And come back to me as soon as you can and give me your own assessment as to what is happening. I should have looked at Major General Saunders, and I should have looked at Commissioner Ellington, and I should have said to them, I think both of you are liars. I don't believe a word you're telling me. I believe what the residents have been telling me on the phone.
Now then two man the name when call is either them not do them job or them are work for somebody else.
Following the May 2010 Tivoli incursion, there were reports that copies of the documents were found in his West Kingston office. Golding said he was unaware of any such report.
I'm not sure what documents were found, but documents relating to Mr. Coke's indictment were universally available. They were posted on the website of the Southern District Court of New York 2 days after the extradition request was received. I myself, I became aware of that listening to a radio station, quoting from the documents and indicating how they had sourced it. And I went on the website myself, and there were the documents there to be downloaded.
Requests were found in Coke's offices in Tivoli. The inquiry is also to find out how they would have ended up there.
I don't want to know how they reach there too, because if this man really don't know how they reach there, it have to be somebody close to you. That's them all a planned evidence by you.
Were you aware that the citizens in Tivoli barricaded their communities, all roadways leading in and out? Did you actually go to see the barricades?
No, I didn't go to see the barricades.
You heard about the barricades?
I heard about the barricades, and I was so advised by the security forces.
Did you understand that the barricades presented a limitation on the access of the movement of people within Tivoli to and from Tivoli?
But isn't that a common sense definition of barricades?
And one thing still a puzzle me. If Bruce Golding, as I say, find files in his office, if Bruce Golding and Dudus did a link, why would he send the soldiers them over there for decimate Tivoli when I'm friend? That just not add up. Me feel like this was a strategic move by somebody who probably don't like Bruce Golding or probably want him lose the next election. That means they then kill two birds with one stone.
Former Prime Minister Bruce Golding testified that there were discrepancies in what was initially communicated to him about the use of mortars during the 2010 joint police-military operations in Tivoli Gardens. Mr. Golding told the Commission on Wednesday that former Army Chief Major General Stuart Saunders had informed him that the devices being used by the Army were not mortars. However, he testified that he was shocked and found it quite significant when a statement released by the Jamaica Defence Force JDF 2 years later confirmed that the mortars were in fact used in the operations.
What I was told by the Chief of Defense Staff. And he didn't use the word bomb, he didn't use the word mortar either. He said the devices that were deployed were devices that were intended to have an impact, a psychological impact. I'm almost sure he said they were not incendiary devices, but they were designed to create a psychological impact that would assist the security forces in carrying out their operation. That's what I understood him to mean. And I accepted that because this was what was being told to me by the head of the JDF. And I expressed my amazement when I subsequently learned from a press release that this was not exactly so.
Remember to like and subscribe because this is just about to get crazy.
Let's say the military were to come to me, as they did in this occasion, to say, we have an operation planned for Tivoli Gardens. I am the Minister of Defense. Let me see your operational plan. And I go through the plan. I see you have mortars here. No way. You're going into Tivoli with mortars? Absolutely not. Take this out. 3 months' time, they come back to me. We have an operation planned for Arnett Gardens. Arnett Gardens strongly supports the People's National Party. Let me see your operational plan. What? You have no mortars in here? You want to go into Arnett Gardens without mortars? You put some mortars in here. And when you go into Arnett Garden, make sure you use them. Now, if that is the kind of option, the kind of authority that it is being suggested that as Prime Minister I should have exercised, I suggest that that would be a significant threat to our democratic arrangements.
Can you tell us whose decision was it to disconnect the electricity service of the people of Tivoli Gardens?
I don't know whose decision that was. I was told that power had been disconnected. I don't know.
So you had nothing at all to do with the power being disconnected in Tivoli Gardens?
No, ma'am. Prime Ministers don't disconnect power.
And you're not a part of that
kind of power.
How on God's earth can the effectiveness of a Prime Minister be measured on the basis of whether or not you had given approval? And if you hadn't, how could you have allowed power to be disconnected by a private company?
Last meeting before the annual General Conference, I had to make my decision known then, seeking to do what is best for the country and the party. The last few years perhaps have been the most difficult period that any government has had to face. Like most other countries, we have taken a battering from the global recession, and the recovery we are so anxious to see has been slow, the global environment still uncertain. We have managed to avoid the kind of disaster we have witnessed in many other countries, but the effects of the recession have still been painful for many Jamaicans. I have worked hard these past 4 years, 16 to 18 hours a day most days, in navigating our way through these treacherous waters. We are beginning to see positive results. Far-reaching macroeconomic reforms have been implemented. The economy has returned to a growth path, modest though it is. We are once again creating new jobs, even though we have not yet restored the jobs that were lost. The rise in poverty has been cauterized. While the worst may have passed, we are not yet out of the woods. There are challenges that remain on many fronts that will require strong leadership to overcome and absolute confidence in the authority of that leadership. Questions about the role I played in the Coke Manat matter have remained a source of concern in the minds of many people. It was never about Coke's guilt or innocence. It was about a breach of our Constitution. And had it been a person other than Coke, it perhaps would never have become the cause célèbre that it turned out to be. We have since amended the Interception of Communications Act to permit in the future the action that was taken in Coke's case, but which at that time was in violation of our Constitution. However, the entire episode has affected me deeply, and the perceptions that are held by some people have not been dispelled, notwithstanding the exhaustive deliberations of a commission of inquiry. I cannot allow the challenges we face and the issues that we as a people must confront to be smothered or overpowered by this saga and the emotions that they ignite. It would not be fair to my country. It would not be fair to my party.
And also, remember, don't believe what I'm saying in this video. This video is all for entertainment purposes.